Ascoltala.
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Black Hand Side, a podcast with a podcast. Wow.
Yeah.
You can tell that it is another episode without Jameer Jenkins because she is teaching her babies tonight. They had a show. But I still wanted to keep the videos rolling. And so I have a special guest who is guest hosting and also going to be interviewed tonight.
I'm guest hosting.
It's a two person podcast, so like I have to have a.
Oh, okay. What's up? I did not know I was guest hosting. Okay.
She is the Beyonce of St. Petersburg and Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah.
And she is a first lady of an African American history. Happy Women's History Month. Also, she is a writer, a director, a producer, and the new executive artistic director of the studio at 620. Mm-hmm. So please welcome to the village, Erica Sutherlin.
Ooh, hey, did you say that I make a bourbon?
Oh, I didn't. And a bourbon sommelier, a bourbon.
No, I'm not a sommelier. I'm not a master distiller.
A master distiller.
Yeah, I.
Not to be confused with a master distributor.
Correct. I hire a master distiller to distill the bourbon.
Okay, I like that.
And blend the bourbon. Yeah.
So Erica, I have to be honest, right? So I have to preface this. So I did create the Black Hand Side originally as a solo podcast. It was a COVID project. Many of us created things, and I didn't want to be a Negro with a podcast, and so that is why I rebranded the podcast as a two-headed podcast with Jameer. However, when Erica and I were co-workers at a previous institution, we read a play, and we were inspired to start a podcast named after that play. Well, named after two characters in that play, and
What play was it?
it was the Queenie and Brother play.
Oh!
That wasn't the name of the play. That was the name of the characters. I don't actually remember the name. So this will serve as our podcast episode. This pilot episode for our podcast. So Erica, how are you? How is your 2024 started? This is the third month of 2024.
Man, it has taken off. It has not slowed down. It's full of everything. You know, I launched the bourbon in January. I started the new gig January the 2nd. My bourbon launched January the 20th. I also started my St. Pete leadership program like January the 8th, somewhere around there. So it's been quite full. I need a break. I like to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because I was gonna ask. You didn't mention like break, rest in there.
Well, I think honestly, I incorporate rest. So I think there's a couple of different types of rest, right? Mm-hmm. So yes, every day I get ample amount of sleep in hours, right?
Is it like, are you an 8 girl, a 6 girl?
I love a good 8, but I exist.
What a gift.
But I exist between 6 and 8.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying something new right now that's waking up between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. I'm in day 2, 3.
Good for you, Glen Coco. Good for you. 4 a.m.? Whew.
Well, that only happened by accident.
Like I'm being hazed. Jesus.
That only happened by accident. That's because I had a migraine.
Oh.
So the night before, I went to bed at 7. And then at 4 o'clock, I was up because I had slept. So I was like, I got a lot done before work.
I was going to say, did you feel more productive?
I did.
Okay.
I had so much done before work. And I was like, I'm going to try this. And then I was like, I'm not going to be like hard on myself, be flexible. So I'm going to give a 4 to 6 range.
Okay.
Let the body wake up naturally. Yes. But going back to your question about rest. So yeah, I feel like I get ample amount of sleep. I think the part that I have to stay cognizant of is that self-care element of actual stop, pause, rest, play, that type of deal. Because managing all of these things can consume you.
Oh, absolutely.
And I am a person, I am by nature a workaholic. So I've learned in this next set of 20 years of my life
Mm-hmm.
that I did not want to repeat the last set of 20 working all the time.
Mm. Mm.
But I think that's something that you grow into, right? So like that first set of 20, first of all, you in your 20s. And when I mean set of 20s, yeah, like you're in your 20s and you're looking at and you just trying to figure out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you still on that path. You want people to still like you, so you're trying, to appease people. And then you get in your 30s, and so I'm looking at that span from 20 to 40, right? That's when I'm talking about my first set of 20s, like those we would call adult years. And then you're in your 30s and you're working, you're grinding, you're doing the thing that, because society told you that you should be at a place that is just really not real.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know that. I'm living that right now.
It's really not real. Like once you get in it and you start to live in the world, you like, well, that goal, that mindset is false.
Makes no sense.
It makes no sense. But first of all, let's go all the way back. It makes no sense when you tell an 18-year-old that they need to know what they want to do for the rest of their life.
Mm.
So as a teacher, when I was teaching, I always tell my kids as I was preparing them for college, like, you're going to change your major. You don't need to know what you want to do for the rest of your life. Like, that's crazy. At 18,
Just get the degree.
you don't even know who you are. So,
Just get the degree.
yeah, so I worked hard those 20 years. Head down is one of the reasons why it's really hard for me to talk about myself, right? Like head down, I just grind, I just did all the things. I made a declaration to myself about my art when I decided that art was going to be, I was going to be an artist. I was going to be an actress. I knew I would eventually move into directing and then eventually move into filmmaking. I had decided that any job that I took would directly or indirectly relate to the arts. So, and this is me coming from, I was gearing up to be an aeronautical engineer. So,
Oh wow! Wow. So what happened between like science, magic, school bus, Erica, and then like poetic justice, Erica? Like, how did we?
and you know what's funny when you talk about the magic school bus? Funny thing, real quick, is when I was in school, they asked me. This is when I was still in like aeronautical engineering, and this was in high school, prepping for that because I was going into the Air Force. They asked me to dress up as the magic school bus lady
Miss Frizzle?
for a group of kids.
Okay. Black Miss Frizzle.
Yes, it was because I was at a black high
Okay.
school. So yeah, but I always grew up in art. My mother made sure that I had a very well-rounded education. So when I was little, and the stories that I hear, even in my daycare, and I'm an '80s baby, so
Come on,
it
daycare.
wasn't necessarily daycare as much as I went to my neighbor was my babysitter, right? But she was brilliant. She could have been and should have been an educator. Her gift with children was just exceptional. So they tell me, and I can remember like little glimpses of it, but I was in being in with my babysitter, and it was a group of us, and I had school, so it was actually like pre-K. We had classes and things, but she would talk about how I would put together little plays and things of that nature. And honestly, I really started to remember this about a week ago. Put together plays and things like that. So I've always been in the world, and people like to, the world likes to call women that are leaders bossy. So, I've always had that leadership quality, and I always, so it was a part of me, but I never thought about it. It's not that I didn't know I couldn't be an artist. I just didn't think about me being an artist full time. So it wasn't, how some families are like, you will not do the arts, right? My family was never like that. My family never told me no about anything that I wanted to do.
That's good.
Yeah, so it was one day, like I said, we were gearing up. They were grooming me for the Air Force. I was going in, like all that stuff, and I had transferred schools. And I had to pick a fine arts course or whatever drama existed in high school. And I was like, just give me that. I've done that before, That's fine. I'll do that. And I don't know what it was about that particular moment at that time in the world, in the universe, with the stars aligning, that with this particular educator that unlocked the artist in me. And what is very, very interesting about that is because later on in life, I find out about the teacher. The teacher, is now in prison. So we can fill in the blanks.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
wow.
but I mean, I was fortunate enough that that did not happen to me with that particular instructor. Um, but that he did unlock the artist in me. And he did it through Shakespeare, which was very interesting because
Wow.
Shakespeare, like, that's not my go-to. He humanized Shakespeare for me, and so that's how I started. I promise you, honest God, I remember the day it clicked, and I was like, "This is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life."
Who are your like top, if you would ever go back on stage,
Oh,
top three roles, in no particular order?
yeah. So here's the beautiful thing: I don't have that anymore because I played them.
Oh, fancy. I'm not there yet. Not there yet.
Well, that's what I teach my young artists. I coach them like you can create your world, right? So I wanted to play Lady Mac. I still would love to play her again, and I played Hester. Everybody wants to play
Hester from In the Blood.
from In the Blood.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. I know. Hopefully, y'all know who we're talking about with Lady Mac because we're theater people, so we're not gonna say
we're
it.
not gonna
It's
say
a
it.
Shakespeare play.
Yeah,
Look it
a
up.
Scottish play. There you go.
There you go.
And so I played those two characters, and then she's just such a great role. Rose from Fences, she's such a great role.
Ooh.
And Viola, she laid that role down.
Smack that thing. Oof.
And I've seen some other female like actresses like lay in that role, and it's beautiful. We just had the pleasure of having it captured on film for the world to see with Viola. But she's such a juicy role, because she's so complex. Even though we can look at the time period that the piece is written in, and they'd be like, oh, well, today that would be different. But no, because I just told you before we started, I literally have people that are going through something similar, and it's 2024.
Oof. That monologue, obviously, yeah, I've been standing by you, Troy, is the monologue a lot of people associate with Rose. But there's a line after spoiler if you haven't seen or read
Right.
Fences, sorry, but after he talks about this child and Rose is talking to her to him, she says, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the script in front of me. She says, "I'm going to take care of this child, but like it's the last time. This is the last time you talk to me or touch
Yeah.
me." So I'm like, every time I read that line, I'm like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
that is ice."
That's ice. Ice. Ice, yes. And love. She says, I will take care of this child. But you, right? And then she says the thing, because we have to look it up too. But I know which line you're talking about. But when you look at that line, it's one statement. But inside there, it is so many emotional levels that she had to explore. So much healing and pain that she had to go through personally in her quiet time to get to a place that she could articulate, I will raise that child. And 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 the way I've seen it played, that particular moment, I will raise that child, does not come out of a bitter place for the child. It comes out of a loving place for the child. But I am done with you. The hurt and the pain and the anguish and the embarrassment. See, we always forget that. We always want to talk about the hurt and the anger in that particular piece, or just when we start dealing with context and scripts like that. When we deal with, especially, excuse me, women and and relationships, we always want to immediately go to the anger and the pain, and we never talk about the actress. She does explore the embarrassment, right? The embarrassment is the thing that's really like that thing that's vibrating underneath the embarrassment, the feeling stupid, right? And how do we process through embarrassment? And how do we process through our own, our own angst against ourselves of feeling stupid, like we participated in this because we participated in this.
Yeah.
Right? This is not the first time that this happened. Or when I look at the end result, if I turn and look back, I can see all the markers. Right? So we have to deal with that embarrassment. We have to deal with that personal shame. We have to deal with that personal feeling of stupidity. I allow myself to do that. Right? That's why I love Rose. Because it's her journey is so complex. And the way she loves each individual character and their relationship. And where she has to get with Troy. She's 18 years. The love doesn't just dissipate. That when she says that line, it's not, she's gonna, I care about you, but what you have done has caused this wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
okay,
those are some.
Okay.
There's a show out now that I'm really interested in, and I'm not gonna get the playwright's name right. I should look it up. I'm really interested in playing. I haven't performed since 2014 or 2016. One of those.
Okay.
But I'm interested. It's a two-hander, two-person play, and it's called The Light.
Oh, Lloyd A. Webb.
Is it Lloyd A. Webb?
Yeah, we talked about doing that together.
Did we?
Yeah, I could be straight on stage again.
You're too young.
I could.
No, you're too young for the role right now. It's like my era.
It's fine. It's okay. It's fine.
I always try to take the roles from the old people.
It's okay. It's fine. So I actually I want to stay on theater. I have one more question, and then I want to jump to the other aspects of Erica. The boss, and I'm not saying that in like the superwoman mode, but you are just like a true boss.
I mean, yeah. I really realized that like last week.
You the boss.
I'm the boss. I was like, oh shit, I'm the boss. Wait a minute. Wait, because I was formulating emails like, greetings, could you please do X, Y, and Z, and I would appreciate it, and yada, yada. And then one day I was like, something happened a week ago. Somebody stepped out of line, not at my job, at something else. I was like, wait a minute. I'm the boss. I don't have to write a fluffy email to ask you to do one thing. I can just ask you to do that one thing. And also, I can give you my opinion, i.e., this is what I want you to do.
Wow.
yeah, it was. I was like, oh,
How does that translate? So, I mean, you obviously as a director or a producer,
mhm.
or even like a lead writer, like been the boss in those momentary spaces. So,
Yeah,
how did those like multiple experiences contribute to now you're in this long-standing boss experience?
absolutely. Well, first of all, I taught for 9 years,
Wow, that's a
high school,
bless.
and artist. So, I was talking about this earlier today. I think teaching made me a better leader and artist. And one of the things it allowed me to do is I learned how to quickly assess the student and their needs and how they need to learn and move. So I can go into any room with adults because adults used to be young people,
In
and
some cases, they still are.
they still are. But I can assess it because that doesn't change. They just grow up, you know. Um, so I think that, and then dealing as a producer or as a lead writer or a director prepared me for this particular position, um, because you deal with, and a filmmaker, you're dealing with multiple people, multiple personalities, and multiple creative personalities, right? In a short amount of time and quickly. So every day, so when I was shooting film, like every day, they say to the director when you're shooting film, you will get at least 300 questions a day. And that is very true, right? So every day, I'm turning around making split second decisions, right? Because time is money, and money is time when you get into that world. And directing, theatrically, you really are, it is such a delicate dance. I like to say, like, I use that analogy, delicate dance, or like it's the ship that's always trying to sink, and you as the director
Yes.
or producer is like, you're the one with the bucket throwing the water out the
Just
trying to keep it afloat.
trying to keep it moving.
So so that has prepared me in working with people and artists and being able to make decisions quickly and stand on my decisions, even though it's not all the time that I am confident in every decision. I know I have to make one, and then I know I have to stand on that decision, right? And it doesn't mean that the outcome is going to be perfect or great, uh, right or wrong, whatever that is, right? But I have to make a decision as a leader.
Now, as a leader, or actually, no, I'm curious as a director. Y'all, she a working woman, so she did tell me before the episode started. She said I may have to do. Someone's coming to pick up some bourbon because she's a working woman, multiple streams. So I'm curious. So when we met, actually we met. You directed me in a reading. Oh, that was such a good reading.
It was a good reading, and I did enjoy directing you.
Wow.
I look
Oh,
forward to it again.
that was the last time I've acted.
No,
Is
it's
that the
not.
last time I acted?
No, it's
Wow.
not.
Is it?
No,
When
because you
was it?
just did the you helped think tank.
Oh, right.
You did something else.
Well, when I do cabaret stuff, that for me,
Uh huh.
no shade to the musical theater people who are listening to this, because many of my friends are musical theater actors. For me,
Uh huh.
Patrick, I do not feel as fulfilled as an actor, and I don't feel
Got
like
it.
I'm acting. I feel like I'm performing.
No, well, I mean, and here you go, musical theater people. I got you. I got you. Well, hopefully, I'm not offending you.
Especially
But
a cabaret.
yeah, I think musical theater artists approach the text differently than straight theater, right? Because there's some other elements inside musical theater that don't exist in performance. And so I understand what you mean when you say it's just because you get to spend time with the text differently
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
straight theater, right? Musical theater, you spend time with the music differently, and because there's technique in the singing, when it's time for you to access and start to do the analysis with the content, it's just different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, who knows? I maybe back on stage sometime in 2024.
You
Who
will.
knows? I will.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
uh,
also gonna direct in 24, 25 somewhere.
I just love when the people speak it. I receive it.
Yeah.
So Erica, I'm curious. So we met. We did that reading, Brown Girl in the Ring.
Yeah.
And then I saw Passover.
Wow, that was together. Wow.
And then some other you did some other things in there. I'm talking about the stuff I've seen. And then you did Ragtime. Actually, no, let me go
No,
back.
I
Then you
did
did Dutchman.
Dutchman. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then, you also did Mountaintop in there too. That's actually how we became true friends. That's a story for another time.
Yeah.
And then Ragtime.
Nope. It was Dutchman. It was The Color Purple,
Oh, the
and then
color
Ragtime.
purple. Okay, so my question
Uh
is,
oh.
looking at those pieces, and they're different,
Yeah.
right? Two musicals,
And two straight
and
plays.
two straight plays. But there seems to be connectivity in the challenges of the characters.
Okay.
Black and brown, with the exception of Dutchman, because obviously that's a black man and a white woman. But these black and brown people, and even in the blood, going through some seriously traumatic moments. How, as the director, do you help your actors and team navigate through that? And then, how, as a director, do you safely navigate through it?
Yeah.
Thank you, sirens.
We're gonna wait.
It's like we're recording in New York City.
Yes.
So we took a brief pause because Erica had to go be a boss lady and deliver some bourbon to a new client, a new partner,
So he's a chef,
a chef.
and he's going to. I have a tasting on Friday, and he's providing the hors d'oeuvres for the event, and so he wanted to use the bourbon in his glaze so that he can showcase how the product can be used in other ways beyond just drinking.
And is someone gonna now we're getting in the shop? Is someone gonna video this so you can use it on the website?
I don't know if he's gonna video it. Um, so I'm gonna go with I don't know because
Okay,
he is I'm an '80s baby.
got it.
Okay.
Nope, got
Yeah.
it. Okay, so before we took our brief commercial break, I was asking, how do you navigate heavy directing heavy plays, and keeping the safety of the cast in mind, and then also on the other side of that, as a director, the captain of the ship, how do you keep yourself?
Yeah. I think, first of all, first thing you lay out, right? And I had to, we're in a new world. So the idea of intimacy coach, intimacy director is new for our world. Less than 5 years, right? Like really integrated into the system, right? So I would not say for Passover we didn't do that. We had an intimacy director for Dutchman, and I had
Oh my
one.
gosh, we did.
Yep. Excuse me, and I had one for this recent one, In the Blood. So first and foremost, and I'll take In the Blood because I think that it's a very holistic approach because I was working with undergrad students during that piece. So what I wanted to make sure was that they had the proper tools because we were going to be dealing with rough text. So my producer or the chair of the department had her asked her to hire an intimacy director. So I brought in a friend of mine that's phenomenal.
Great, good to know for future.
Oh my gosh, I've learned things from her. It's just, oh my God. So we did that, brought in a fight choreographer to deal with the fight moments, and a lot of the fighting moments came out of intimate moments. And then I asked that we made a partnership with their counseling department, so so that the kids could have tools or access to people outside of the show. One thing that I've learned in my journey, and I had to learn as a leader and as a director who does actually care about her artist, that, and this will help answer the question about me, is that it was okay for me to separate myself and allow the experts to do their job. And I just sit back and watch and oversee. I mean, it helped me it helped me with balancing being inside the text, taking the journey within, because there was like a road there. There was a space there for me to be on the other side while they did the work, and then I would cross into that work, right? Or they would come over to my side, however you want to look at it. So if you're gonna work with artists, if you're gonna do something, I recommend hiring all of those things, right? And then as a director, I have a lot of conversation with my actors. Regardless, depending on who they are, regardless if other people see it or not, we have a lot of conversation, a lot of side conversations. And so I take my actors, we talk about it at the beginning, like how hard it's going to be. I mean, Passover,
Yeah.
right?
That is
Passover
one.
had over 150 times of saying the word nigger, right?
That's a journey.
It's a journey. And then it's two black characters and then one white male police officer. So in the way that she chose to do her adaptation or her spin off of Waiting for Godot, Passover is a beautiful piece of work. So one, my white actor in that story had a very difficult time. Very difficult time. Very different from the two black male actors who, that's not the difficult time. There was actual camaraderie and something very familiar to them in that world, right? But my white character, my white actor, because of who he is naturally, and what he had to do to those brown characters really put him in a very uncomfortable place. And so we recognize it. We recognize the uncomfortableness, the discomfort that's there. We talk about it. And then I allow my actors to take their journey through the piece. Now, eventually we got to face it. Eventually we have to get, and I call it, eventually we have to face the darkness and step into it so that we can get to the light. But I allow them to like find themselves and work through it and have conversation. And then there's a day, we never know when it is. I never know when it is because it comes. I am also living this experience too as a director. Now, some people may program it into their rehearsal schedule, but that's not how I do.
You just gotta let it happen.
Yeah, and so the day shows up, and then we go into it, and I go with my actors to that dark place, or to that hard place, or to that discomfort. I'm there with you. Right? I'm taking you in there. I'm in there with you. I can feel it. I know what it's like. And then I help you come out of that.
And I think we saw that in Dutchman. And for if y'all haven't read Dutchman, go read it. It's by Amiri Baraka and Leroy Jones. And it's a piece.
I say read it, but if you get to watch
It is something. And I think obviously we had those conversations at the beginning and navigated through, and that day didn't happen for the actress who plays Lula. Woo, it's been so long. Who plays Lula until
we were on set.
Yeah, and I said, what is that? What
She
is
had
happening?
a whole moment.
I literally was like sitting there like, what is happening? But she had that moment,
Yeah,
and so I got to see you kind of walk her through that, and I know it needed to happen. And what's funny is that the actor who played oh wow, what is the male's character? Clay, the actor who played Clay, he had his moment earlier, but
Actually, he had two moments.
oh, I guess he did.
He had his very first moment because because is a young actor, and he was in his graduate program, I want to
Mm-hmm.
say. And so dealing with text like that and dealing with me as a director, he was not used to. And so he had his first moment of, how do I say this in a way that's, I'm not trying to be offensive, but he had his taste of, I'm not in my predominantly white institution
Mm.
program,
Yeah, I get
right?
that. Yeah.
And we all, like, I come out of that predominantly white institution program, both my undergrad and my grad.
Oh wow, I didn't have that.
Yeah, and I had an opportunity when I first started college. I went to a small HBCU. It did not have a program, though it had a theater scholarship. But go with it. So,
We
and
love
I took,
HBCUs.
yes. So, but so that was his first moment, right? And when it came out of nowhere, I was like, oh, okay. And then we had a conversation, and he had to find out about me, and I had to find out about him, and learn how to communicate with each other, because I literally communicate with every actor differently. And this, so that was his first moment, and then his second moment was when he took the leap to let go and be in that big monologue. The monologue is like 3 pages
Mm-hmm.
long.
It's a monologue.
He had that because he was also afraid of that moment. It's a and rightfully so. She was also afraid of it. Those moments are scary because they force you to be vulnerable. And in humanity, our humanness, we don't want to be vulnerable because that sets us up for the potential of being hurt,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just in our everyday lives, right? But art forces you and calls you to be vulnerable. Right? Think about all the great performances you've seen. Technique is technique. You can use it, but when you can see the difference when the performance is leaning in technique and when they are locked in. And so that's scary. So everybody, when you have roles like that, when you face those moments that the text is already difficult, now I got to be vulnerable, and I may have to do something that is sensitive or intimate. Excuse me. Like, that's a lot to call on a person to do in front of a live audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say live audience for film, television, or theater, because they are filmed and taped in front of live people. Like, there's a
Yeah.
crew.
I would imagine that would. I mean, I haven't done a lot of film work, but well, let me not say I haven't done a lot of film work that has required that level of vulnerability. But I could imagine I would be more challenged in a film situation.
Yeah, it's different for a couple of reasons. One, because it's shot out of order,
That.
so your emotional tracking is different. Um, and so not only that it's shot out of order, so if they decided, and hopefully your AD didn't do that to you, because the AD is the one who creates the schedule. Well, yeah, and hopefully they put it somewhere, if they had the opportunity, put it somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But I mean, because it's really going to be difficult to come off at the top of the shoot, locking in, dropping into something like that. So that's one thing that makes it difficult, because it's out of order, so you don't get to track the emotional build. The second thing is we shoot it multiple times. So that can be extremely taxing on the artist, on the actor. So you have to. And that's probably why, if we really started, if I told you to start like watching and investigating, you'll see a lot of that in the close-ups,
Mm-hmm.
because we know that's where the emotion lies, and so you don't see it as much in the wide. Like, the wide, you can play it differently, and then if you have multiple cameras, it's great, because I don't have to force that actor to continue to be in that space for that extended amount of time, right? So that's very difficult to, like, to one, to find that emotion, and then to do it over and over again. And then in theater, the beautiful thing is we get to track that emotion. The show starts, and then we take it, and then it ends.
And even in a musical or in a a 2 act piece, okay, intermission. I know I'm building up the intermission. We're gonna do this thing, and then I'm gonna have a little beat, 15 minutes, 20 maybe, depending on the show.
And depending on, and that's not, and yes, and when you're dealing with an actor that's tracking that emotional journey, I would say I'm not in the room. I'm not in the in the rehearsal. I'm in the dressing room with them, but I could guarantee like 9 out of 10 times they are not breaking. Not it, because they know where they have to go. So it's the work,
Yeah.
right? Or they've been there, they're sustaining it to come back into and finish. Or it happened and now they're spent. So they got to figure out how to make it to the end. So yeah, it is to be vulnerable. We can talk about it very easily, but it is a difficult thing to journey.
That is beautiful. That's a whole nother episode. That'll be a part 2, y'all. So let's pivot because we have talked. We could obviously me and Erica could talk about theater and art and
Yeah.
performance and all that all day. I want to talk about the businesswoman Erica and Sinuous and give us a little bit about the story behind Sinuous and what's happening now and what you see in the next years 2, 3.
Well, hopefully we start to see a profit.
Amen. Another profit.
I mean, I understand the journey of starting a new venture, and it takes a minute to turn that profit. But I'd love to talk about the story. I tell the world that I created this bourbon to celebrate women. And I truly, truly did. And I really wanted a bourbon that everyone could drink. And what I mean by that, and then some of you all that drink spirits, liquor,
Liquor.
liquor.
I'm saved.
No, but that when you drink, there's the proof is really high, or there's a whole bunch of reasons why you can have that burning sensation. I I'm not a fan of that. So I didn't want my consumer to have that experience, and I wanted to create a product that everybody could drink, and it's still strong enough. It's still proof high enough. Like, it's a nice drink. It's smooth. It has just a little bite on it, a little pepper in it. It's a blended bourbon, and that's something we could talk about later. But so I did, and I call her she, right? That's she, because bourbon really reminds me of black and brown women. And the word sinuous means windy and curvy, and so I equate that to the physical body type of women. I'm a plus size woman, and I'm not saying that this is just about plus size women, but just the curves on women. The color of bourbon, the amber, those browns, those beautiful ambers and gold tones and browns really reflect for me the skin tone, the spectrum of brown. And then the attitude and the spice and the passion that women possess, like that is the attitude of the bourbon for me. So that is how she got her name, Sinuous, and why. And I wanted to celebrate women, but it comes out of my family. And I talk to people about when I want to talk about bourbon in totality, the inclusion of everyone, male, female. I talk about how growing up in my family, I have come from a big family. Like, I remember, and if we can all think about it, when we have barbecues or Christmas or Thanksgiving, I remember my family getting together and like the storytelling where all the oral tradition happened around a beverage. And I was younger, so I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was alcohol. And I love listening to my brothers because my brothers and sisters are like 20 years older than me. So I didn't grow up like my brothers and sisters with the having the opportunity to know cousins and aunts and
Yeah.
things like that because, you know, I'm the child that grew up. It's weird. But anyway, so that camaraderie, that family thing, that family dynamic where we are singing family. So we get together, we drink, sing, we laugh, cry, cuss each other out, argue, maybe start a fight, but and then back to the laughter and singing. And it all happened around this alcohol. And I loved it because I love the storytelling aspect of it. I love learning about my history because I didn't experience that, like they did. Like they have a different experience, and so and then I started to think about and listening to the stories about the women on my mother's side of the family, which super awesome women. Like my great great aunt, I found out she was a madam. I don't care what you feel about the profession, but a woman,
Make your money.
right, being an entrepreneur during a time where women could not own themselves, right?
2024.
Feels like it. I mean, we are having questions, right?
Bless.
Bless. But, I thought that was fascinating that she was able to do this. And not only did she do this, but like one of her best friends was President Truman.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I don't know which way it is, but the way the story came to me was that either one of them was on their deathbed and the other one came to visit them and sat with them. So like that, so to
Wow.
me, like that's very powerful when we start talking about, and this is a woman of color. And in my side of the family, I have my mother's side of the family, the women, they come from various backgrounds. So, I can have there is a section of my family that could actually pass.
What a gift.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, I guess during that time. But so like understanding her story and then learning about another aunt that was a voodoo priestess. So she was like the neighborhood, medicine woman. And
So you're gonna write like a
yeah, so I use this
series.
exactly. So
That's great.
I decided when I made the bourbon, when I was making the bourbon, I decided to take the goal is to tell stories that focus on women. That have women at their center. Those are the stories I want to write. And I got tired of going to general meetings and smiling all the time and they not leading to anything. That's oh thank you and oh if you don't let me know if you write something and if you have like call me back and yeah, and I think that's great and thank you. But also I was like I'm over 40, so I look at my industry and I'm like, oh, I understand why they call it a youthful industry. And it is, yes, it is about the age of the person, but it is also about the amount of time and energy and who they choose to put that energy into.
Oh yeah.
So I said I had to do it a different way. So I made a bourbon to celebrate these awesome women in the world that are innovators and dreamers and rebels and like they just off the beaten path. And they said they just said screw the rules. I'm gonna live my best life. I'm gonna live the life the way I know how. And then there's a one story. I don't know who it is in my family. It's one of the aunts on that side. Story is man owed her money. She kept asking the man for the money. He wouldn't give it to her. So one day she went into the bar where he was, and she said, "Bro, you owe me money. I want my money." And he basically laughed at her. So she shot him and then left the bar and never got arrested.
That's not. We might be kin. I swear that sounds like one of my family members.
Right, but and we could talk about, oh my God, like she did that, and never got arrested. But for me, it's the bodaciousness of that I celebrate. It's she understood her worth. She knew what she wanted. She asked nicely a few times. I mean, nice as you want to be. And she handled it her way. Well, however we feel about the way she handled it her way. But the fact that she had enough courage and belief in herself, and she invested in herself, and she walked into a bar and demanded, right?
You gonna pay me what you owe me.
I celebrate that. I celebrate, and like, so this bourbon is celebrating those women. This bourbon celebrates the women of today. You know, we have across 2 blocks over, there's a liquor store called First Ave North Liquors, and it's a woman. One of the owners is a woman,
Oh, I didn't
and
know that.
yeah, and I celebrate that. So so I've been waiting. I've been holding things back. Though my marketing, my little media team is mad at me. I'm also behind because, of course, it's social media and but I'm holding certain things back because until I get a location to like have a liquor store where I can say you can go there, then I want to start putting out more content about the stories of these women and
Because it will
celebrating these
entice
women.
people to go.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And and y'all know, Black Inside, we support women. I look, y'all know, most of my village is black women, in all different ways. And I will say, I'm being mindful of time.
Yeah.
One, because we both older,
Yeah.
and
And also, that took a long time. Downstairs, I didn't know I was going to have to. He was telling stories.
it's okay.
And I
We
had to
love
listen.
we love our black elders.
Yes.
Our black men.
Yeah.
We just talk so much. But I will say, when you talk about doing things by your own definition and rules, I think that is something. Not I think I. It is something I always have admired about you, and we only been friends for like 3 years.
We
at
don't
this
know. Yeah,
point.
somewhere between 2 and 3.
Math.
Yeah.
It's not what we do. But
No, I call it trauma. You call it math. I'm just going to say trauma.
yes, we went through
has
some experiences.
really messed up our timetable.
I was telling my friend the other day. I was like explaining our friendship to them, and I was like, "Yeah, we just became friends really quickly because we went through some traumatic experiences together, and so we had to learn each other very quickly."
And survive.
And thriving. Thank you,
Yes.
God. But in that journey of just knowing you and then hearing about even pieces of your journey to when I met you and seeing you now, just seeing how you have been like, okay, well, y'all don't want to make room at the table. I'm gonna build my own table. Like I'm gonna just go and get. Right, because Erica, like, I don't need to build a table. I'm gonna just go and get this good old table, bring it over here, and invite all my friends. And
Yeah.
to that, when I was at the launch party for the bourbon, it was so amazing. Like, yes, everybody had a good time, and that was lovely, and that's obviously the point. But for me to just sit back and observe the types of people that were in the room, from background, color, creed, all just different age, all the things, and just the energy in the room was so great, and it made me excited to see what where the brand is going to continue to go, and just the excitement around that, cultivating community in a way that, ooh, help me, Holy Spirit, to be careful with my words, in a way that is needed in our community in Tampa Bay. And I think is also, I don't live everywhere, but is needed in many communities with women of color at the lead. And specifically, I think black women, because y'all have often got the bottom of the barrel, the crud. I'm speaking for Jameer, because if Jameer was here, she would say
Of course.
this.
I know Jameer. She would say this.
And so to see you being one of the change makers is just really exciting. I'm excited to support that. Look, y'all know I'd be like, woo, let's go. People be asking me questions. I'd be like, here, you need to see this person for marketing. This person over here does some
You do.
bourbon. You need some theater. Look, if you do something good, I am going to plug you. So I'm excited to continue to support that.
You know what's interesting? Growing up and looking at, thank you for calling me a change maker. I appreciate that. Growing up and looking at change makers, looking at these powerful women, leading different organizations or things, or like Oprah, Maya, you know, I don't care how you feel, La Condoleezza, like all these kind of
Yeah.
things, right?
Change can be good, bad, and between.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation on another day. But
I'm a Rosa.
I always wondered what that must feel like to be a change maker, to be this leader. Like, you know, when it happens, like there's a thing, but there's not a thing.
It's just life.
It's just life. And when people say to me or talk about my leadership or say how inspired they are or calling me a change maker, I go, oh my goodness. Oh, that's what it feels like. You don't even know you've arrived to that status. You, it's surreal because I mean I have a hard time like talking about myself. It's really difficult when people ask me. I tend to have other people talk about me. Um, so it's really it's I have to sit back sometimes and just take a beat and allow myself to say to me, job well done.
Yeah, you that girl.
And before we go, because when I talked about those my last 20 years and working in my mind, because of my upbringing, because of society, because I was always the only little brown person in the room, so I was, I we have to we lead an entire society when you're the only person of color in the room. Like, everybody thinks that the choices you make are the choices that everybody
Yes.
that's your color or your makes. So because I was all of those things in my head, all I kept hearing when people would say that they were proud of me about the things that I was doing, or all I kept hearing was bigger, better, more, bigger, better, more, bigger, better, more. And so I was working and working and working, and I mean hard, long hours, just working, obsessed, compulsive about it. Like, one of the reasons why I don't do social media is because I am that person that when they go on social media and they see other people, even though I know it's not real,
Yeah.
I have heart palpitations like I'm not doing enough. To a point, to my detriment, to a point where I suffered from burnout. I mean, there were things that most definitely triggered that, but and I had a long years, like the finality of it happened, but that burnout happened started in like 2015, and then it had its climax in what was that, 2021?
Whenever we
Yeah,
met.
yeah, with that, yeah. So, but that compulsiveness, that thing that I was always told, I come from a world where I have to be 10 times as better than the average, just to be average. And so that was always in here, working, 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 until one day I couldn't do it anymore. And I looked up and I was like, I have fragmented, and but in that fragmentation, I learned how to breathe. And I learned that it's okay. And I learned to turn the sound off in my head, the compulsive. She didn't go. We still there. I just learned how to see her triggers, how when she's starting to like flare up, how to bring her back down, and go, okay, Erica, that's not what people are saying when they say I'm proud of you. What they're saying, Erica, is if you never do another thing, I'm happy with what you did.
Yeah.
And that took years. And that still takes years. But now I see it differently.
Mm, that's good. Erica, first I want to say thank you for coming to the village. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us in the Black Hand Side Village. As I'm closing, as y'all are listening to this, please, 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 where can they keep up with you? I know Erica says she's not on social media, so I'm not going to ask her to give her social media things, but we will give her brands and things. You can follow her through them because she ain't going to check her things.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's active, you know that I've hired someone.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. So, well, of course, you can follow the bourbon brand on Instagram and Facebook at Sinuous Bourbon. Both of them, very simple. And then if you choose to follow me, which would be fine, I do post every once in a while. I'm one of those people that just let you know what I've been up to when I have something to say. And that's simply, I don't know. You can just follow Erica Sutherlin. You can find me.
Uh-huh.
It's true.
She don't remember her Instagram handle.
I do. First of all, my Instagram handle is at EC Sutherland.
Very good.
Okay.
All right.
My Facebook is Erica,
Erica
Sutherland. I know. I always have the tools. I have everything that I need to be successful.
Do you want to spell Sutherland for them? Because, the people like to mess it up.
I sure will. Because you will. And that would just hurt my feelings. SUTHERLIN.
Lynn.
Not land.
Lynn.
Sutherlin.
So I asked all of our village visitors. Well, you're part of the village now, so you're not a visitor. But I'll ask all the folks coming to the village, how are you living in your blackness right now? Just how is it showing up for you?
Ooh.
It could be as short as you need it to be. It doesn't have to be full and deep.
Yeah.
Because we just had a great episode.
I'm living in every aspect of blackness. I'm living in every aspect of black excellence.
Okay.
All of it. The obstacles, the joy. I choose, because we can make that choice, I choose to currently live my best life. And I mean that sincerely. Like, I'm living my best life. That doesn't mean that it doesn't come with some hurdles, some obstacles, but it's how I choose to respond to them. It's how I choose to navigate them. That helps me stay. I try to stay centered in my joy. So yeah, I'm living every aspect of black excellence.
I like that. Centered in my joy. I think that's going to be the episode title. My joy. So, y'all, once again, thank you for tuning in for another episode of The Black Hand Side. I'm your host, Patrick Arthur Jackson, and we send love to my co-host, Jameer Jenkins, who will be back next episode because we're recording it tomorrow. But it will come out like a week after this one.
Hey, Jameer. Miss you here.
Yes, we miss you, girl. But who knows? Erica may be back because I have an episode. I purposely did not talk about some things that I wanted to bring you on to talk about, so we may bring you back for something else.
Sweet.
So until next time, you know how to follow us. Follow us on Instagram at Black Hand Sign Pod. If you would like to be on the podcast, or some black professionals, black creatives, or black people like you and me who would make great guests, please email us at blackhandsidepod@gmail.com. Until next time, thank you for being black. And if you're not black, thank you for being you, because we need allies out there. Keep drinking your water, keep minding your business, and the world will be a better place. Peace!